Today on the Topping Show, the comments section with Brett Cooper, or rather without Brett Cooper now, continues to get ratioed and lose subscribers. Disney cuts a storyline of a trans character in one of their cartoons. Congress proposes a 40% pay raise for itself. Trump says to make Canada the 51st state. U.S. government, quote unquote, forgives $1.14 billion loan to Somalia, and they use the money to stop their own lobbyist. Kamala shocks herself with their comments saying to remember the context in which you exist. Walmart employees to start wearing body cameras. Taco Bell to debut a chicken nugget special promotion, and Mr. Christmas Tree Lights, which is being recalled. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. And we are still giving away a free Flamethrower with every IT purchase. Yes, it does come with a fun Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15 like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the Flamethrower button to learn more. Also, look at the description of the video to see more. Lastly, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Walmart employees to start wearing body cameras. Now, this shouldn't be too big of a surprise. I mean, theft in the United States, or as they call it in retail, shrinkage is about, well, $1 billion problem. It doesn't help that places like San Francisco basically make it really easy to steal, but I partially digress. Now, this comes to us thanks to Gabriel, who's a writer at CNBC. Which he says, quote, Walmart employees are now wearing body cameras in some stores, which we'll see if they roll it out to all their stores. Obviously, it's going to be a ROI. Who knows, it's going to decrease their insurance liability, or rather, more appropriately, how much they have to pay for the insurance for the security of their stores, and how much this might pay off in lawsuits or bring extra evidence. We'll see. And again, Walmart's going to make sure they get a good ROI out of this program. They're not going to do it all willy-nilly if they do it across all the stores. Now, they continue saying, quote, some Walmart employees now wearing body cameras in the U.S. stores as part of a pilot program. The tech, widely deployed in law enforcement, is now being expanded into retail to help deter conflict and prevent theft, which I think it might, but that being said, you also have places like San Francisco where on camera, I mean, most hilarious was when CNN was actually doing an interview with the local, I believe it's a CVS or a Walgreens manager, talking about how prevalent retail theft was over there. They saw people commit the crime on camera, and of course no one stopped them because it's the culture of California. Which, yeah, what you vote for. So it's one of those instances where some of them are so brazen they don't even care about cameras. They also just wear masks. So I'm not sure, like, if it's going to reduce by 10%, is that enough for an ROI to do, like, across every store? I don't know about that. Now, they also know that TJX companies said earlier this year that its loss prevention employees were using the body cameras in some locations. Here you can see the iconic Walmart logo of one of their stores there. Now, they also know that it's not clear how many Walmart stores have recording devices, but some locations now have signs at entry points warning shoppers it has, quote, body-worn cameras in use, according to witnesses and photos posted online. Now, Walmart spokesperson told CNBC, quote, while we don't talk about the specifics of our security measures, we are always looking at new innovative technology used across the retail industry. This is a pilot program we are testing in one market, and we will evaluate the results before making any long-term decisions. And ironically enough, the market they're testing, I would argue, is one they statistically probably don't need it the most. They're testing it in Denton, Texas, which, again, if you look at retail theft on a map, I wouldn't think that's the biggest place to be. Probably somewhere like Chicago, where there's so much theft, they actually close down stores. Which, yeah, that's the culture of Chicago, but another topic for another time, perhaps. Now, they say that, quote, Walmart, the largest non-governmental employer in the U.S., is testing the technology after small retailers started trying wearing body cameras at their own stores as a way to deter theft. Body cameras and footage they gather are commonly advertised in a way to prevent shoplifting, but Walmart intends to use the tech for workers' safety, not as a loss prevention tool, according to a person familiar with the program. So again, now, a person familiar with the program, maybe people feel like they're going to have less conflict with employees. They're not going to get as violent if they see an employee actually wearing a body camera. Now, they know that in a document titled, quote, providing great customer service while creating a safer environment, Staff are instructed to how to use the devices according to a photo of a document posted online on an online forum for Walmart employees and its customers, instructing employees to, quote, record an event if an interaction with the customer is escalating and not to wear the device in employee break areas or bathrooms. After an incident occurs, the staffers are told they are to discuss it with another team member who can help them log the event into the Ethics and Compliance app, according to the document. I also know that the body cameras at Walmart come during the thick of the holiday shopping season when retail employees work long hours and face tough interactions with consumers that can be more tense and hostile than usual, which, yeah, especially, well, thankfully, there wasn't really too much issues in terms of Black Friday this year in the United States, but it is kind of culturally sad when there's so much people that'll just literally crawl over people for an extra discount on a piece of crap they don't need, where people actually died in the United States because of Black Friday. Other countries as well, but much more in the United States. So it'll be interesting to see how this, really plays out, and again, how much it's going to cost Walmart overall. Because again, these things aren't cheap to begin with, and especially with Walmart, it's going to add up in the aggregate. Again, not every employee is on site working at the same time, but think about how many employees per store and how many stores they have. It's going to be a pretty penny. And it'll be interesting to see, does this actually de-escalate situations if people know they're being recorded so closely? And let me know your thoughts. Do you think they're really doing it for safety, or is it retail theft? Let me know, because as always, it'll be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Taco Bell to debut chicken nuggets temporarily as they expand their menu, becoming even more and more bizarre. This after Taco Bell also said they're going to start a Taco Bell cafe, where I'm not sure if you want a Baja infused coffee. Well, I guess 19 people might want a Mountain Dew infused coffee. That might be a thing. But if there's no Halo Master Chief logo on it, is it really worth it? I partially digress. This comes to us thanks to Jordan Valinsky, who works at CNN Business, which somehow still in business. I'm pretty shocked. I'm pretty sure he's one of 5 employees left. There you can see the interesting new Taco Bell chicken nuggets. Now, they say, quote, Taco Bell is adding something unusual to its menu. Yes, indeed. Now, diving into the substance of the article, they note that, quote, Taco Bell is veering away slightly from its Mexican-inspired cuisine. Which, yeah, I'm pretty sure they just insulted every Mexican I know, because none of them really consider it actually, Mexican food. But I partially digress. They say, quote, the chain is adding chicken nuggets to its menu for a limited time. However, Taco Bell is putting its own spin on the fast food staple, marinating the all-white meat in zeste jalapeno buttermilk flavor. Couldn't just actually, they couldn't actually use the real ingredients. It's the flavor of the ingredients. I'm sure they're natural and healthy for you. Just like all PepsiCo products. That you can absolutely pronounce all the ingredients on the label. That's a joke, because most people probably can't pronounce half of it. I partially digress. They also then coating it in tortilla chips and breadcrumbs, resulting in a flavorful alternative, which it most certainly is an alternative to, I would argue, real food. Now, they say, quote, by its own admission, Taco Bell said in a press release that it's entering a category where chicken nuggets loyalty runs deep, notably dominated by McDonald's, Wendy's, and Chick-fil-A. Was part of Taco Bell's plan to expand its poultry portfolio, as younger eaters largely prefer it over red meat. They say that Taco Bell's former CEO Mark King said that last year's Young Brand Investors Day that a, quote, large percentage of its business is beef, and Gen Z consumer wants chicken. In response, the chain has released in March a Cantina chicken menu, which often uses shredded chicken for various items, including tacos and salads. The addition helped increase Taco Bell's sales at stores opening last year by about 5% during the quarter when the new menu was rolled out. I also know that there are going to be new dips and sauces that'll surely attract adventurous Gen Z eaters, which, I would argue most of them should be, most of them are probably on a pretty tight budget. I'm not sure how many of them can afford to deviate from a standard diet, though U.S. consumer debt on credit cards has also recently passed $1 trillion for the first time, so perhaps they will swipe that credit card at things they may or may not like to eat and roll the dice a little bit. So it's interesting to see Taco Bell continue to make more and more risk and take more and more ideas and bring them to the forefront. We'll see if this is long-term profitable and viable for the company, as apparently more and more people are preferring chicken. But I don't know. To me, just fast food is pretty much all functional what it used to be. It used to be cheap, fast, and reliable, if I could speak. And not even reliable in that case. It used to be cheap, fast, argue convenient, and moderately edible. this is not just Taco Bell. I'd argue most of them aren't even these things anymore. But yeah, let me know. I mean, shoot, I think the last time I went to Taco Bell was when I say the new Star Wars. Back in my day, the newer Star Wars with Ian McGregor. Remember they had a free hovercraft if you got all the tokens on the little ginormous soda cup taps, but I don't think anyone actually did get that. But I partially digress. When was the last time you actually went to a Taco Bell, and is this enough to actually get you to go to one of their stores, and would you even order it? Let me know, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Cultural Problem podcast, you have the comment section with Brett Cooper, or rather, without Brett Cooper, continuing to lose subscribers, and folks aren't really liking the new gal thus far. Now, granted, this happened over a week ago, but statistics are still coming in, and yeah, they're starting to lose subscribers, and not a lot of people are liking the new replacement. Controversially, was not just the producer of show for Brett, but is an instance where apparently it was Brett's maid of honor at her wedding, and Brett went ahead and deleted all the photos of her. A lot of people are suspecting didn't really end amicably, and most of the folks are saying we came here for Brett, not the comment section. So I think the Daily Wire tried to make something like the Tonight Show, where they wanted to have an interchangeable host because it's much more. They would argue it's much more of a viable business model since, again, I mean, people are human; they inherently will pass away, or maybe they want to go to a new company. And I understand the business perspective of wanting to do that. Much more difficult, though, as I think they're seeing, because a lot of people grew attached to the individual host of the show and not so much the actual host. We'll see if this is long-term viable as a business model. I'm a little skeptical. We'll see if the new host, Regina, will be able to cultivate enough of a following. And again, the Daily Wire, they just passed $1 billion valuation. They have the resource allocation to make her successful long-term. I believe that they want to. But it's just a question of, how much short-term loss are you willing to invest, are you willing to really sustain before it actually gets profitable again. Now, before we dive into actual comments, which is, of course, the whole point of her show, ironically, we'll listen to Regina for what she has for a second to say, but it'll mostly be the comments. Now, one of my favorite sites is actually a statistical site, and it's called socialblade.com. You can look up all your favorite creators and look at, how they're doing, and in theory, how much they're actually making, which isn't really accurate for my show, but nevertheless. And it's kind of hilarious because if you look at the actual site, we'll bring it up right here, it still has Brett Cooper in the main head banner of the show. But of course, the new thumbnail is Regina because the Daily Wire changed the profile photo on the YouTube to Regina, not Brett Cooper. But it is funny that the banner here still says the comment section with Brett Cooper and as her. Again, the Daily Wire doesn't control this website. It's basically an aggregator for the data, and I'm pretty sure it's just a banner from the YouTube. And again, statistically, I mean, Brett Cooper was one of the fastest, most successful creators in content history. And again, this partially because the Daily Wire invested, I would suspect, millions of dollars behind advertising, getting her brand out there and promoting her. They really did build her up, and that's why, I mean, you look at the statistics, prior to her leaving, she's even surpassing Ben Shapiro, which is, statistically speaking, the top talent at the Daily Wire. Now, if you look here, I mean, she's still doing phenomenally. She has a B+ rating. We got, what is this? Estimated earnings of 100. This is actually a comical delta or comical band in terms of, I mean, it's hard to say they're wrong when they give themselves so much room for error. They're estimated the value of her channel is $120,000 to $2.7 million per year in revenue or earnings, which, and yeah, they're probably right. That's pretty much the biggest, gave themselves all the room for error in the world. Now, in terms of how she's doing in the past 30 days, well, they've actually lost 140,000 subscribers. And it's down, well, percentage-wise, it's down 255.6%, which that's not great. Now, again, still subscriber count is 4.34 million subscribers. It's still wildly successful. And still ranked 716th in the country rank. I mean, 8,106 social blade score. Not to brag, but I'm about 80,000 rank on the site. But here's where it gets concerning. You look at the video views, those are going down. Again, everyone tuned in for the first thing Regina posted, or the replacement posted. But then the second video, the comments were just as visceral against her. And it just went down precipitously. Like, we're talking 50% drop in views. And here you can see Brett's subscriber count. I mean, you're talking 30, 40, 50,000 new subscribers every month. And then all of a sudden, you see crash. Yeah. 160 subscribers in a couple weeks. That's pretty painful short term for the business. We'll see how long, again, this is saying that. Now, again, this is the first thing she posted, and it went pretty viral on the X, or as some people call it, the Twitter. And yeah, it looks very unusual to see the comment section hashtag or @ symbol, but it has Regina's profile picture on it. And it's about 10 minutes long. We'll watch the first minute or two, and then we'll dive into the comments, which is perhaps the most appropriate thing to do when analyzing her show, the comments section, which, I mean, A+ for Marketing is a good show title. Oh, here we go.
Welcome to a new chapter of the comment section, and I am your new host, Reagan Conrad. Now,
Oh, my bad. Reagan, not Regina. Regina sounds cooler, though. What do you think?
Welcome to a new chapter of the comment section, and I am your new host, Reagan Conrad. Now, some of you are probably asking, who is this chick? Where is Brett? What is going on? And those are all very valid questions. So before we get into today's episode, I want to just recap a few things with you all. Now, many of you have known me as producer Reagan. I've been working on this show for almost 3 years now. I started with Daily Wire fresh out of college with a journalism degree and a resume full of social media work. And prior to applying here, I was listening to Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles literally every day because they were the voices online echoing my thoughts and my values and my beliefs. So I decided to apply to the Daily Wire. And I got a job and I moved across the country from Pennsylvania to Nashville, and I've been here ever since. Now, funnily enough, my first job at this company was actually posted.
You know, the Daily Wire is $1 billion company, and they can afford to have like 35 cameras on her. If you're just tuning on iTunes or on the Spotify, they're changing the camera angle every 3 seconds.
The Facebook videos for this brand new show called The Comment Section. And from there, I fell in love with this show and with this team. And I basically became an associate producer for a time, and then I became the producer. And even recently, you've probably seen me guest hosting on Fridays. So while I may feel like a stranger to most of you watching this video, I've been behind the scenes for years getting to know all of you. Now, over the last few weeks,
So the camera angle changed 6 times, or the camera changed 6 times in about 12 seconds. That's, I mean, I guess maybe that's what you need for the youth to get them interested in a video. But they're spending a lot of money on editing or extra cameras throughout the studio. I don't know what kind of setup they have there. But yeah, that's a lot of camera angles being changed.
Internet, as we so often cover on the show, has been the internet. And the comment sections have certainly been comment sectioning away. I mean, it's literally part of my job to read your comments, and so I know what's being said. And the one thing that is rightfully concerning many of you is the thought that Brett may have been forced out. I can assure you that that is not the case, and it is simply untrue. I mean, as Brett said herself in her final episode, and I would highly encourage every single one of you who has not yet seen that video to go watch that video and also go watch and support.
How many, I mean, they're spending, I don't know, I would love to see the percentage of Daily Wire's budget allocation for cameras. Because, I mean, this is not just, zooming in, but this is multiple camera angles. It's almost comical. We'll do maybe 30 more seconds of this.
And love on anything that Brett does coming up in the future, because I know that it will be amazing. It was Brett's decision to leave the show and move on to a new adventure, which she is very excited about, and all of you should be very excited for what's to come. And in saying all of that, it is an enormous honor for me, truly beyond my wildest dreams and anything that I could have ever hoped for, to have been given the honor to carry on this show. I care about the show so much too, and so I am so excited to keep the show moving forward. All that to say that I have learned so much from Brett over these last 3 years. Most profoundly though, she taught me how to be fearless. Brett sat at a desk.
I thought she was going to say she taught me everything about hand movements and voice timing. Because again, I've tuned into Brett Cooper before. She's an amazing talent. And it looks like they trained her perfectly to emulate Brett Cooper without being Brett Cooper. I mean, the hand gestures are oddly reminiscent. The camera angles are just as dizzying. And her voice, the tone and the pattern just seem oddly familiar. And it went pretty viral. It got 1.9 million views and 3.7 thousand likes. And again, the big controversy is, well, you're her maid of honor. And now you took her job, and Brett unfollowed you on the Instagram, the Teddygram, whatever the kids call it these days, and even deleted the photos of her, who again was a bridesmaid at her wedding, which, yeah, I don't think you would do unless it ended amicably. Now, going to the comment section, appropriately enough, one of the first ones, rather bombastic, is from Nick Fuentes, saying, quote, "For your bitch, she'll never be Brett Cooper." Got 9.4 thousand likes, which is quite a few to say the least. Red Beard says, quote, "Yeah, the camera cuts are really bad. Pick a shot and stick with it. This isn't a broadcast TV trying to pander to ADHD normies." 136 likes. Let's see. Poindexter says, "As if the camera bouncing wasn't enough, her fast talking should seal the deal," getting 205 likes, which actually I should unlike that because, I mean, shoot, she probably speaks slower than me. That's probably the number one critique for the show that I get in my comment section, which I always read, and eventually with enough time I try to get back to every single comment, even if it's not, giving me accolades or critical critique, the better, because that's how you get better and that's how you improve. But yeah, that's something I constantly struggle with. I'm not going to knock her for speaking too fast. That is the number one thing I hear in terms of feedback from my show. And believe it or not, I am actively trying to work on making myself slow down, enunciate more, and speak more articulately and clearly. I even have a theory. When I first started the show, barely anyone tuned in. Well, maybe family members some days. And I had no subscribers, basically. And I spoke even faster back then. But as I slowly but surely gained more subscribers, I've improved my speaking skills. I mean, back then, and even nowadays a little bit, I stumble over my words worse than Joe Biden trying to climb upstairs. But as I slowly but surely gain subscribers, I become better at speaking. Yes, you might laugh because you're watching this right now and thinking, oh my gosh, there's worse. Yes, the bar was actually that quite low. So if you can go ahead and click that button, I greatly appreciate it. And someday I'll make it through a whole episode, perhaps speaking perfectly. A pie in the sky dream, some might argue, but a dream nevertheless. So if you click that button, tell your friends, I greatly appreciate it. Tell your enemies too. You never know. You might annoy them so much, maybe get an entertainment out of it, just a poking the bear kind of metaphor, or they turn out to love the content and you become friends. Statistically speaking, that might not be very probable, but at least make for an amusing story, so why not? Now, other comments include Harlan Post saying, quote, my dudes, chill, Brett was great, but let's not stereotypical internet trolls and give this nice young lady a fair chance. Business is business, getting 208 likes, so already getting some contrarian statements. Alex says, quote, it's weird that you sound like her and even have her mannerisms, getting 852 likes. And I believe there's also some people, questioning, did she get additional coaching in terms of an acting coach to kind of have her more emulate Brett? Or is that something organically you just kind of emulate your friends and you're around them for a long time? I don't know, but that's another thing people are wondering about. You also have Sarah saying, what happened to Brett Cooper and who is this blonde chick? Getting 38 likes, which, if you just watch the first 2 minutes, you'll know. I don't know if she didn't. Someone by the name of No Goes says, same show, different goy, getting 653 likes. Cassandra says, wow, you're really annoying, getting 165 likes. Going down more and more. Soylent Green says, sorry, but it's not Brett. It's no for me, getting 180 likes. Shay says, they need to change the set around a little bit, getting 33 likes, which, yeah, that was one of the issues in terms of, part of the allure was you thought you were getting an inside view, or you're just kind of selling people to the fact of you're a part of Brett Cooper's life. You're in her house, you're her, what's the opposite of a man cave? A woman cave? Whatever you want to call it. When in fact, it was a production set at the Daily Wire. And to have someone else just take over that set, a lot of people are, it doesn't really feel like it's the same. They should have changed the background a little bit so it's custom to the new gal and maybe shows her hobbies, something like that. Not to brag, but this ain't no fancy studio. This is just my main IT work office. And you can see all the unique, cool stuff in the background behind me. So this, definitely, I was going to say, definitely not a professional studio, obviously, but part of your background is kind of your story, your passions, your ideals, or in my case, business history and, just, cool, fun business stories in general. That's why I have an old Blockbuster sign behind me, Toys R Us. Well, you can't really see the K, but the price of the top right side of the screen is one of those price tags from a Kmart store where they actually change the numbers out. Got the old EDS and old, we can't see it zoomed in, but you can see the corner of the Radio Shack sign. The background of your show is a very personal, unique thing. And I'm really shocked they didn't take, what would it take? Maybe 2 hours to switch out just a couple of knickknacks in the background to make it more personal for her. If I were her, I would want to do that just again to, drive more authenticity. And because again, you want, in this case, it's a studio, so they want to sell the illusion that you're part of this person's life, you're part of you're tuning into them. You're not tuning into like a CNN or MSNBC. So I think that's, I don't know if you want to call that an epic production fail, but certainly design is, the aesthetics doesn't even feel right that you're just copy and pasting it. Now, Abby says, quote, Brett is great, we'll miss her, but I don't see why her leaving is any reason to hate on you. This is hardly the first time that a show has changed host. Looking forward to getting to know you more, Reagan, and watching this next chapter of the comment section as it unfolds, getting 49 likes, which I think there would be much less of a visceral reaction if, again, there's a kind of a passing of the torch, so to say, or if Brett Cooper said, they just did a nice send-off. Again, the fact that, it's been several days, or actually a week, and Brett Cooper still doesn't announce where she's going. There's a lot of speculation there. And also, I guess it's a big thing with the youth these days, when you unfollow someone and delete photos on the Instagram, that's a sure tale sign that there's been some friction between the folks. And also, I'm surprised why, if she was her producer for so many years and they were best friends or, friends, why wouldn't she go with Brett to her next endeavor? Candace Owens, when she left the Daily Wire, she's very proud of the fact that she brought her team with her. I believe she brought her makeup artist as well as her producer. And when they started her new thing, or her new venture. And in this, you're you're bringing the team with you. In this case, you're much more breaking the team up, which, again, in terms of corporate American structure, I understand because, again, this is a very particular show, but so many people perceived it as a personal show, not a large marquee, like, kind of like the mainstream production of, like, the late night show. And I'll see if there's any more contrarian comments. We'll do one or two more. Isabel Moody says, quote, and you're America's biggest trader of the year, getting 595 likes. Whoa, well, another case in point in terms of people agreeing with that sentiment. Shaw Eaton says, well, time to unsubscribe and unfollow. Without Brett, they're 8 the same, getting 140 likes. Nato says, we want Brett, getting 406 likes. Which, yeah, that's quite a few to say the least. And yeah, I did a fun, if you watch me on the YouTube, I try to do the community thing every day. So I try to do a poll and I ask people, like, what do you think is the most viable thing for the business of, the comment section? Bring Brett back, Regina will make a profit, or Ben Shapiro dresses up as Brett Cooper and does the show. And granted, small sample size, I think it's still less than 30 people who voted on it. But over 60% of the people said they should have Ben Shapiro dress up as Ben Cooper and do this show in the comment section. Which you might need to suit up, or in this case, dress up for his new second gig. I don't think he will. They should have done it for like an April Fool's thing at least once, because a lot of people joke they look so similar to each other. But yeah, and again, there's still a massive volume of subscribers, over 4 million subscribers. And again, the Daily Wire has some exceptional marketing talent over there. I think they'll make it viable long term, especially I think it will make a profit maybe in a couple fiscal quarters. Because again, they just had $1 billion valuation. Like, that's extraordinarily impressive for a media company, again, with so much competition, so much legacy media, which still have billions of dollars of resources. So I suspect long term, this will become a viable show for the Daily Wire. Short term, there's going to be maybe some protests, maybe some people unsubscribing, but there will be a lot of people who never heard of the show and they'll find some new subscribers. So I think long term, it will be a viable business choice, but short term, I think it probably hurt not just subscribers of the Daily Wire or the comment section, but also the Daily Wire has their own subscription service as well. I think that might go down a little bit. But let me know your thoughts around in the comments, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have Disney cutting a trans storyline from a children's cartoon, which, going back the clock 6 months ago, I mean, I would have never thought they would do this. Disney has been leaning into what most people are calling the woke madness for almost, a couple of years now. The fact that they're backpedaling on one of these storylines, I think is a sure tale sign that the cultural shift is happening in America, and Disney may actually want to make money again, which I don't think they've done for quite a few years. They're really good at burning through money and just losing money on all their media. The parks are their saving grace. They've made a pretty good profit on the parks past fiscal quarters. But yeah, when you look at all the things, especially Kathleen Kennedy's touches, she seems to have the opposite of King Midas's touch, where King Midas, fun story back in the day, everything he touched would turn to gold. In Kathleen Kennedy's case, everything she touched turned to woke crap and lost money. So instead of gold, perhaps lead, which is mostly hazardous and really only good for insulation of radiation and bullets. Actually, no. Lead actually has more value than Kathleen Kennedy, so perhaps not the best metaphor. Even depleted uranium can be used for depleted tank busting rounds. And manure can be used for, fertilizer. Hard to think of a physical product or service more inept or worse than Kathleen Kennedy and how she's destroyed Lucasfilm and Indiana Jones and Star Wars and a lot of the intellectual property. That'd be a good question in the comments. What's more useless than Kathleen Kennedy? Surely there's something out there. Can't help but think of anything at the moment, but let me know. Now, diving into the article, this is first reported, well, we'll look at the comments on X, Twitter, because that's where most of them are, but this is written by Liam Riley, who is at CNN Business, which, again, somehow, still in business. Now, he says, quote, Disney cuts transgender storyline from the new animated series. And here you can see a weird kid playing baseball with a giant, like a fat ghost on his back, which, I don't know, is that supposed to be a representation of anxiety, I suppose? Now, diving into the specific story here, they say, quote, Disney has cut a transgender storyline from its animated series, Win or Lose, ahead of the show's release. The original animated series from Disney-owned Pixar centers around a co-ed, well, here's a red flag already, a co-ed middle school softball team. Ridiculous. It's called The Pickles. Even more ridiculous. Is the run-up to the group's championship game. Each of the series' 8 episodes, which will begin rolling out on Disney Plus on February 19th, will focus on a different member of the Pickles. Wow, what a name. With the storyline involving gender identity no longer being included, the character will remain in the series, a person familiar with the matter told CNN, adding that the decision to remove the plot was made a couple of months ago. Still, the announcement is not as simple as crossing lines off a script, since the character's dialogue was already recorded. Disney said in a statement, "When it comes to animated content for a younger audience, we recognize that many parents would prefer to discuss certain subjects with their children on their own terms and timeline." Which, did they finally get the message? Did they finally? Why are they having this realization? Is it because Trump not just won the Electoral College, but the popular vote? Can't help but think probably that, in addition to them, again, losing money on pretty much every movie they made past couple years. It's almost impressive how bad they've become in terms of just pushing out garbage. And again, I'm actually fascinated. Disney specifically said, "We recognize that many parents." I'm actually surprised they didn't use one of those BS terms like life partners or something like that, which leftists are notorious for. Now, the CNN continues saying, quote, "The announcement comes after the re-election of former Donald J. Trump, who has rallied against diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives and become a cause celebrity of the right." Now, scrolling down more and more, yeah, they bring up how they, in 2022, they inserted the gay kiss into Lightyear, which is a prequel to Toy Story. And hilarious enough in terms of hypocrisy, Disney's all about the LGBTQIA plus Banana Falcon, and yet they censored that part of Toy Story or Lightyear in Saudi Arabia and other countries where it's frowned upon in terms of those types of content. However, if they were authentic with the content and really wanted to push this out more, I would argue they'd be consistent across every market in the globe. So it shows that they still care about profit a little bit, but overall, I think they still much more care about the messaging. Now, going to the internet here, thanks to Libs of TikTok, we got some extraordinarily good comments. She says, quote, "Breaking, Disney has decided to pull a transgender storyline from their upcoming Pixar streaming series, Win or Lose." And they have that same quote about the parents. Now, scrolling the comments, they got, again, 1.7 million views and 36,000 likes. The first comments comes from Based Electrician, who says, quote, "This is a complete opposite of the Disney business model over the past decade. What changed?" It came 809 likes. Yep. Valentina Gomez says, quote, what? Let me zoom in there. Or adjust that. She says, quote, "Let's all end this gay trans ship once and for all," getting 5.6 thousand likes. Cool Christian Engineer says, "They knew it." This is a quote from Ben Carlson, apparently saying, quote, or it says, Ben Carlson promoting transgenderism to minors is child abuse, getting 2.1 thousand likes. AKA says, quote, "Happy these companies are getting it now," getting 549 likes. Cool Christian Engineer also says, "Emily will watch." There's a picture of a jacked guy with muscles larger than most men's thighs, and says, quote, "This is Emily. Emily wants to join the girls' football team. Emily can't because of the transphobic rules," getting 540 likes. Paul Zupa says, quote, "We're winning back the culture," getting 227 likes. Tara Bull says, "We're winning," getting 478 likes. Let's see here. Effany's 612 not a game says, "Too little too late." And instead of the Disney logo, it's the Disney logo, but instead of saying Disney in text, it says "Groomers," getting 191 likes. Sarcassus the Impaler says, quote, "Translation, we here at Disney tried to ram our political beliefs up your ass since before Frozen 2 and its crappy songs and anti-white scolding, but we lost a lot of money over the years and we are now backtracking on the whole idea." Getting 310 likes. Trump and Musk, the alignment account, says, quote, "Disney is a disgusting company. If Democrats had won, they would have continued their woke grooming." Getting 624 likes, which, yeah, I tend to believe that as well. Mark says, "Can't say they had their hard turn," he says, quote, "Can't say their hard turn to woke has been a profitable endeavor. That's how bad they want to punish their agenda on the kids," which he shows the stock 5-year trend going down at 33.86%, getting 220 likes. Going down more and more. One bad dude says, "Not good enough. It should have never happened," getting 970 likes. Scrolling down, let's see if there's any contrarian statements here. Not too many. Most people just continue to roast Disney. Also have Go Ask Alice says, "Disney still has a lot to clean up in the realm of printing transgenderism with their children, thanks to this." Kind of shows you the undercover work of James O'Keefe, which, I mean, they also discriminate against hiring folks as well. That's right. Interestingly enough, didn't go really viral. It was in the news cycle for a day or two. David Krim says, quote, "I hope they are realizing it, but they also have to remove those pushing the agenda from within the company. They have too many activists working at Disney who won't stop pushing their woke agenda." 147 likes, which that's going to be their biggest issue. They push out pretty much anyone who is even moderately conservative out of the company years ago. Never forget, they also had a DEI journal that they forced employees to keep, which was also illegal. They basically pestered employees and said, "What are you doing outside the office to push initiatives Like, what's your DEI progress? What are the initiatives you're doing? So they literally asked employees to keep a journal of what they do out of the office, which, yeah, it's pretty creepy. Bruce Bilal says Disney will continue to groom behind the scenes. I'm sure getting 127 likes, which, yeah, never forget to. I'm a big proponent of actually having VHS tapes and DVDs or Blu-rays, physical media that can't be altered that you can actually preview before you show your kids. Because, and Lord knows I wouldn't trust Disney to not do a quick update on the streaming platform and insert some crap you don't want your kids seeing. And these days, I mean, shoot, you should. I would argue you need to preview pretty much everything before you put it in front of the kids, just to be safe. Again, this is a big sign. I think, culturally speaking, we are moving in the right direction in the United States. I suspect maybe Disney will continue, but let me know your thoughts are. Do you think Disney will actually, stop putting this stuff in kids' materials? Do you think this was just a temporary thing for this one show? Let me know your thoughts are, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part podcast, you have, well, looks like the government proposes giving themselves a 40% pay raise because, of course, which, only the public sector can you do a worse and worse job and get paid more and more and more, or a union, I suppose. Now, this comes to us thanks to Wall Street Maverick as well as Elon Musk, where Wall Street Maverick says, quote, there are two provisions buried in the continuing resolution that Congress is trying to slip by. A pay increase for members of Congress from $174,000 per year to $243,000 per year, which is viscerally disgusting. They deserve, I would argue, half of, even less than half of $174,000. Like, that is ridiculous to make so much money to do so little. I mean, most of these lazy SOBs on the left and the right, they don't even vote on much because of these BS omnibus package where they basically do nothing all year, and they have one big bill that they all say yes on, and they do that, and they package it that way, so then they can go back to their constituents, and they say, hey, I know I voted, I got us this one thing. I know you hated, X, Y, and Z, but it was a big bill. I had to get that one thing. And it's BS because they all do it on the left and on the right. And I hate it. I think you should be everything should only be one thing, and you vote on it. You don't have these big omnibus packages where it's got hundreds of things in there, and everyone hates it, and you'll get one thing out of it for your local municipality, your local constituents. It is ridiculous, lazy, and one of the biggest reasons I think they don't deserve a damn pay raise. If anything, they should have they should get a paid deduction. They should be making even a fraction of that. But I partially digress. Now, going more, they also say, Wall Street Silver says, put it up here. They also know that also members of Congress are receiving an opt-out for being required to use Obamacare, which of course they get an opt-out. Everyone else gets kneecapped with a BS tax. This BS. Now, Elon Musk responded saying, quote, how can this be called a continuing resolution if it includes a 40% pay increase for Congress precisely? And the thing goes viral as I thought it should. It only got 3.9 million views and 38,000 likes, which should get a lot more. Scrolling down through some of the top comments here, you have Guthrie Eagleman saying, quote, Senator Durbin claims he doesn't even know he was getting a pay raise. They admit their ignorance, getting 992 likes. Yeah, that's another issue. Most of them don't know what's in the bills. And I believe even AOC, like a lot, again, people on the left and the right sometimes will actually speak up about how they don't like these omnibus packages and these large bills. I mean, most of them didn't even get time to read it before they had to vote on it. It's so BS. I'm not a fan of increasing more laws. Well, if it's a law that limits, I should clarify that. If it's a law that limits the power of government, I'm kind of in for that. It should be a law. If you can't give an articulate summary of what's in the bill, you should not be allowed to vote on it. Is that fair enough? I mean, we're all employed. We have to do our work. We have to put our seal of approval before we put something into management, whether it be a sales report or a summary of an interaction, whatever it is. And yet, they even know is in there. So again, he could be lying. He's like, I didn't know it was a pay raise. But again, some of these bills are thousands of pages long. How many of them actually have the time to read all of it, to understand all of it? Very, very few, I'd argue. Now, you also have Guthrie Eagleman says, quote, I think this should be called the final straw. Mike Johnson has proven time and time again he has no spine. We need to vacate the chair, getting 4.4 thousand likes. Paul Zupa says, quote, Congress is almost a single digit for their approval. They should be getting paid decrease at best, getting 103 likes. Yep. Ema Strong says, what did they do to even earn that raise? Getting 186? Well, let's change that to 187 likes. Yeah, that'd be a great question. AKA says they just want a pay raise. It's pathetic. That's the only thing they read. Getting 123 likes. American Papa Bear says, quote, they deserve nothing for giving our money to Ukraine for 3 years. Getting 132 likes. Oh, yeah. Was it up to 100? Oh, wait. Actually, what was it about? $200 billion for Ukraine? Yeah. Chuck Marcel says, shut it down or get primary, getting 206 likes. Edward says, disgusting, getting 871 likes. At Gates says, tradition, mostly, getting 303 likes. Not a good thing. Scrolling down more and more. A lot of people talking about Trump trying to drain the swamp, telling him to do it ASAP. Yeah, I'm not seeing anyone speak up for Congress. Let's see here. Yeah, a lot of people saying to drain the swamps. A lot of saying people get rid of Mike Johnson. A lot of people saying goodbye to my Jax dollars. As they leave that wall, it goes over there. Let's see here. Vince Langman says, should Republicans vote for the 1,500-page continuing resolution? He's got two options, yes or hell no. I say hell no. 178 votes, 99.4% said hell no, which I'd love to hear the justification of the people who said yes. Like, why? And again, it's one of those things where people always freak out. Oh my gosh, the government's going to shut down. Yeah, funny enough, yeah, pretty much nothing changes in our day-to-day life. Yeah, I can't help but wonder if Elon slashes the U.S. government like he did with Twitter and gets rid of 80% of the staff overnight. Not just how much money we would save, but how much would you really notice, if any, changes in your day-to-day life? I can't help but think probably your life would be about the same, if not better, because you have more money in your pocket because the government wouldn't be stealing, taxing you as much. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Trump saying to make Canada the 51st state, and we're subsidizing them by about $100 million, which, I don't know, that's so much money wasted on Canada. I mean, at least they do a little bit more than other countries in terms of, trading between us, but they're obviously getting the better end of the deal. I can't help but fathom how many extra gallons of maple syrup they're buying, how many more hockey pucks they're buying with all the money they make off us. Now, this comes to us thanks to Donald Trump post from Truth Social, which A+ for marketing, this is on X or Twitter, you know exactly what this profile is all about. Now he says, Trump says, quote, no, well, should I try the Trump accent? It's probably the worst attempt at a Trump accent, but nevertheless, I'll make the attempt. No one can answer why we subsidize Canada to the tune of over $100 million a year. Makes no sense. Many Canadians want to be Canada becoming the 51st state. They would save massively on the taxes and military protection. I think it's a great idea. 51st state, which maybe it probably was the worst impression you heard all year, but nevertheless, that's perhaps an accolade in and of itself. I'm only partially kidding. And this is what Trump tweeted a couple days ago. And yeah, $100 million per year. That's ridiculous. Which, yeah, and I'm not a big fan of doing a lot of business with these governments that also don't have the same ideologies or morals of us. Never forget, Canada disarms their people. They don't have the right to self-defense. In fact, their dictator, president, Julio Castro, Justin Trudeau, he said multiple times you don't have the right to defend yourself with a firearm, and they confiscate firearms over there. And they also confiscate bank accounts when they have the truckers peacefully protesting and people who donated to them. So, yeah, I don't know how many people actually like Justin Trudeau. And never forget, when they asked him what country and leader do you admire, Justin Trudeau said the leader of China because of how they could respond to the pandemic, aka complete totalitarian authoritarianism. Now, going to the comments, again, it got 1.4 million views and 22,000 likes. Well, first comments comes from Fred Texton, says, quote, why in the world would we subsidize Canada? It's not like they're a third world country. They can stand on their own 2 feet. Quit giving them money, getting 67 likes. Which, yeah, that's a damn good question. Light from the Light says, don't you see what Trump is doing? He's putting indirect pressure on Trudeau at the perfect time, getting 606 likes. Marty up north, unacceptable to fact checked. It's a long name. Nevertheless, says, quote, with all due respect, Mr. President, $100 million isn't not enough to buy one F-35C fighter jet? Most certainly it is. He says, quote, this week our finance minister Freeland announced our deficit is $62 billion. That's $162 million every day, which, yeah. Why do they keep electing leftists? Because they keep, no one is better at burning money and running countries into the ground than leftist leadership. Look at California, or Illinois. Always deficits in New York. Deficits, and yeah. And he also says shit Biden said 250 billion to Ukraine during his presidency. He says, I bet you Hunter Biden stored more than 100 million coke. Let's be real, Mr. President. U.S. state is not subsidized Canada. We just did. I know you hate Trudeau, but give us a bit more time. We'll get rid of that idiot for you. We're your biggest ally. Why do you mock us like this? And again, there are a lot of good, freedom-loving Canadians stuck behind enemy lines. I feel bad for them. They have to deal with censorship, being oppressed constantly. And yeah, I can't help but wonder, I mean, mysteriously enough, when I look at my podcast analytics in terms of people who listen on the Spotify and the Apple podcast, a lot of Canadians used to listen and they vanished. The views, the downloads literally vanished. I'm not sure what happened there. Likely maybe censorship or something, but yeah, the whole country went blank, went dark. Interesting. They still tune in sometimes on the YouTube, but I partially digress. And this Canadian got 680 likes. Again, there's some freedom-loving Canadians over there. Wouldn't be maybe the worst idea to adopt them as 51st state. They had some good natural resources over there. Not the craziest idea Trump has ever had. And I know he's partially being bombastic and sarcastic. He's not actually talking about doing it. But what if he was? No, I'm just kidding. It'll be interesting, but we'll do one or two more comments here. The last carnivore says, "Oh, Canada, I feel sorry for that." It's just Trudeau with red eyes getting 9 likes. I also have Volk Ravel saying, "No way in hell Canada is in the situation it is because of the full socialist. The elected Fidel Castro bastard's son, for F's sake," getting 245 likes, which, yeah, that's one of my favorite conspiracy theories. And it's not out of the realm of possibility. Trudeau's mother was a nice way of saying a leftist, a promiscuous woman who went to Cuba multiple times and allegedly had slept with Fidel. So, and they also look similar and have the same political ideologies for the most part, so wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. That's just Castro's bastard of a child. Yeah, feel bad for Canadians. I hope they get some freedom soon. We'll see what happens. It is funny that Trump has these puns like this, and yeah, they certainly seem to be getting the bigger end of the stick, so to say, so when it comes to doing business with another. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news: the United States government forgives a $1.14 billion loan to Somalia, which they then use to lobby for more money. Which, yep, that's the government pissing away more money. It seems like our government will give money to any country or citizen that is not of the United States. Taxpayer, that is. I can't but wonder, us taxpayers, what benefit do we get these days? It seems like our money either goes across the country to people who don't pay taxes, or goes across the globe to countries that don't pay taxes to us, or do business with us, or even have, for the most part, strategic relationships with us. Now, my first thought, well, Somalia. They're an up-and-coming country, perhaps. Maybe they're doing some really great research, development, innovation in that country. Maybe the new iPhone 28 is going to come from there. And obviously, it's not. But I did look into the data. Are we a trading partner? Does it make business sense to forgive this loan, aka just give them the $1 billion? And because maybe they purchase so much of our products, maybe it's a break even at the end of the day. Spoiler alert, it's not. So I asked Grok, who are the top 10 trading partners of Somalia? And fascinatingly enough, it's mostly countries we are not friendly with. You have and some that we're moderately friendly with. You have number 1, the United Arab Emirates. 2, China. 3, India. 4, Turkey. 5, Ethiopia. 6, Bulgaria. 7, France. 8, Germany. 9, Bahrain. And 10, Qatar. Yep, so we're not even in the top 10 trading partners of Somalia. And yet we're giving them over $1 billion. Now, going to the actual posts of the news, you have Libs of TikTok bringing it to our attention, where she says, quote, "The U.S. just forgave a $1.14 billion loan to Somalia, and now Somalia just retained a DC-based lobbying firm. They're using our own money to lobby for more money and handouts. Meanwhile, we are trillions of dollars in debt, and Americans can't afford gas and groceries." Which, yeah, friendly reminders, thanks to the ineptitudes and corruption of the Democrats and Republicans, the United States has now passed $36 trillion in debt. Which, yeah, quite soul-crushing when you think about it, and a lot of people are wondering, when is that levy going to break, and what might happen in the future? We might have to sell out some useless asset we don't really use anymore, and maybe we have to sell out Hawaii. I'm only partially kidding. They do a lot of great research, development, manufacturing over there. They don't. It's mostly tourism dollars. But in all seriousness, we're going to have to do something, not just decrease costs. We're going to have to sell some assets and do something to get this country fiscally back on track as well. And yet, yeah, here's $1 billion to a country that we don't do business with. They don't seem to be a strategic place globally for us in terms of military advantage, but we gave them over $1 billion. Some people speculate we do this to try to, in a futile attempt perhaps, to bolster the value of the US dollar on a global scale, which, thanks to the ineptitudes of the Biden administration, well, the US, the global currency for the petrodollar is no longer the US dollar. It used to be we could bully other countries to take their currency and exchange it for US dollars before they buy gas and that commodity. That's no longer the case. I mean, that's one of the biggest blunders of the Biden administration. I think that'll go down in history because, again, that helped stabilize the value of the dollar. That's gone. Americans should be freaking out about that. Our fiat currency is not propped up by much these days. Now, going to the comments section, again, this should get a lot more views, I thought. Got like 46,000 views and 6,000 likes. Well, the first comments comes from, I'm a little biased, but I would think this particular commenter is quite handsome and brilliant. It's me, hashtag the topping show at X, where I say, quote, our government will help everyone on the planet except us taxpayers. Bullshit. Got 3 likes, which I would argue saw quality over quantity. Those are the best 3 likes of all time. The coolest of people like that, I'm sure. Now, we also have Paul Zazupa says, quote, if you don't hate our own government, then there's something wrong with you, getting 10 likes. Planet of Memes, which a little disappointing yet again, they did not in fact respond in meme form, but rather just text. This alleged Planet of Memes says, quote, not another dollar for another country other than the United States, getting 96 likes. Libercat Media TM says, quote, this has to stop. Somalia isn't the only loan they forgave either. They forgave Ukraine loans too. Enough is enough. The people are pissed, and these idiots inside our government are still not grasping the message we sent them. We must get louder and fire more of them. Getting 12 for a second, 13 likes, which, well, 33 is going up like a stock, which I actually don't think, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of stupid people in the US government, for sure. I don't think they're, in this metric, they're stupid. They just don't care about us. They think our tax dollars are better spent on Somalia than us. They think perhaps they'll stabilize the US dollar, maybe foreign relations. They think that. Maybe they're getting kickbacks. Who knows? But in this case, I think they're actually more malicious than ignorant. Now, yeah, Ukraine, never forget Biden just proposed, hey, we're going to give them come on, man, we're going to give them $50 billion, but it's a loan, man. They'll pay it back, which, yeah, I would love to see statistically how many of the loans we give out to these other countries do they actually pay back and pay back with interest. Yeah, there's nothing more. And Zelensky was a comedian throughout most of his career. The funniest thing he ever said was when the first conflict broke out between them and Russia, he said we need to give them money because it's an investment, which, like, about $200 billion we spent them, and what kind of ROI have we gotten? Also not a top 10 trading partner or strategic map location on the globe, but I partially digress. Also have someone by the name of Sammy J says, when was the last time the American had a loan forgiven? Well, they read my mind. Received a 40% raise at taxpayers' expense. Never. You cannot hate this government enough. They have a meme that says, we the people have had enough, and got 30 likes. This is a very long, specific profile name. Bowtied Queen Bee / homeschooled Holmes says they won't give Americans any help. Meanwhile, and this is a picture, or AI picture of Kamala Harris with one of the hurricane areas where, again, they got $750 as an initial payment, but you also have FEMA give illegals $690 million in benefits and admitted if there's any more natural disasters this year, they would have no money, which, again, shows you the resource allocation and what the U.S. government actually pays for and actually cares for. And again, I appreciate the feedback in the comments. I know I'm speaking way too fast today. Perhaps a byproduct of having copious amounts of coffee. I think I'm on my second pot. It's been a pretty busy week. It's being an entrepreneur, 105 hours a week can't be beat. I actually do mean those. I'm actually being literal. But I partially digress. Appreciate your patience as I try to make the show better and better with my alleged improvements in speaking skills. Going down more and more. Gunther Eagleman says, quote, lobbying in D.C. should be a crime, getting 88 likes. David Sullivan, pronouns prosecute Fauci, says intentionally trying to run us broke, getting 9 likes, which I forget that theory, but yes, there's a theory about how you destroy countries and governments. And one of the biggest highlights from that theory is, yeah, making government go more and more into debt, which, yeah, can't help but think that theory might be playing out, or that strategy might be playing out. So not really surprised that we're going to forgive yet another loan. And I mean, let me know. Do you know any anecdotally, any products you buy from Somalia or any businesses you work with? Let me know your thoughts are in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Kamala Harris shocks herself by saying context in which you exist line and goes viral on the social media. This comes to us thanks to Colin Rugg over on the X, in which he says, quote, new, Kamala Harris shocks herself after thinking she said something smart while dropping the famous context in which you exist line. I must say, it is impressive. And he says, quote, the profound comments were made during a post-election speech to students at Maryland, which, yeah, if it's a college or you're paying to go there, yeah, I can't but feel ripped off. You're paying Kamala Harris to come visit us, or even if you're not paying Kamala Harris, you're wasting my time listening to her. Now, thankfully, it's only about 37 seconds long, so it's not too long, though some might say it's so insufferable it can feel like a lifetime. But I partially digress. Let's hear the words. I was about to say words of wisdom. What's the opposite of wisdom? Words of... It eludes me at the moment. Words of insanity? Rudimentary wordage? Whatever you prefer.
The true test of our commitment is whether, in the face of an obstacle, do we throw up our hands or do we roll up our sleeves? And as we approach, and I ask you to remember
that creepy laugh,
the context in which you exist. Yeah, I did that.
It takes true talent. Almost say it has to be almost be a talent to be that socially inept. I mean, the body language, the cackling laugh. She's so socially awkward. She makes me look like a savant, which is saying something. Which, yeah, the cackle. She thinks she sounds so profound, and yeah, spoiler alert, she's not. It did go viral though. Got 4 million views as well as 12,000 likes. One of the first comments comes from Crazy Moments saying before Trump and after Trump. There's a picture of Hillary Clinton looking, well, like Hillary Clinton. Then after she looks even worse, which I was surprised that was even possible. Then Kamala Harris before and after, and she looks even worse. Though I should clarify for the record, Hillary Clinton is definitely not corrupt or evil, has not had a statistically high number of people around her who coincidentally committed suicide, I think like 28 people. She's not at all corrupt or evil. I should clarify that for the record. I should also clarify, I don't own a rope, and I do not wish to, I wish to live a very long and fulfilling life. Just coincidentally, I want to throw that out there. Coincidence. Now, that did get 1,000 likes. You also have Colin Rugg saying, quote, America's wine mom, Kamala Harris, getting 514 likes. Junita Broderick says, quote, she should be forced to sit in a room alone and watch her own videos. She has the intelligence of dirt, getting 4,000 likes. Junita, that's actually pretty insulting. Some dirt is actually quite expensive and full of nutrients and quite valuable. If you go to the Home Depot, I mean, the price of dirt gets pretty, I mean, they put some great things in there to make plants grow and be a nurturing thing and nurturing substance. I would argue that dirt perhaps is of higher intellect than Kamala. I'm only partially kidding. They also have Spitfire says, we didn't dodge a bullet, we dodged a nuke, getting 3.4 thousand likes. Concerned Citizen says, quote, she might make a good state representative or elementary school teacher, getting 141 likes. Colin Rugg responds saying McDonald's wouldn't even take her, getting 320 likes. Mark Menimir says, quote, baffled by her own BS, getting 1,000 likes. And Colin Rugg responded saying, quote, I'm concerned that there are 75 million Americans who voted for this clown, literally the worst candidate in American history, getting 1.7 thousand likes, which I tend to agree with him. Even Joe Biden, like, I'm a big proponent of the Second Amendment. I'm also a Texan, so obviously I love living here because of that. But it's one of those instances where even Joe Biden during the 2020 Democrat primary, when they talk about firearms and, you know, they ask, would you confiscate tactical rifles or black rifles because they're evil? Well, Kamala Harris said, well, if the government doesn't act within the first 100 days of me being elected president, well, then I would confiscate the guns. Which, to Joe Biden's credit, he countered saying, you can't do that executive order, that's unconstitutional. So even Joe Biden was not that radical on the Second Amendment. Kamala Harris, if she said she got elected, you'd have 100 days to do it, Congress. Otherwise, I would use an executive order and confiscate the most popular gun sold in terms of the number of units and ownership, the AR-15, which, hilarious, they think it's a modern tactical gun. Yeah, it's technically an antique if you look at when it was actually designed by Eugene Stoner, ironically in California, when he was working at Armalite all those years ago. So yeah, she also wanted to do price fixing, which, again, that should scare, I mean, talk to anyone who's come from a third world hellhole or communist country. That's never worked, ever. Terrible idea. She's also a big proponent of censorship. And yeah, it is quite concerning 75 million people voted for her still. Now, some of those people very well might just hate Donald Trump. I understand that. I would argue that was probably half the people who voted for Kamala Harris just hated Trump viscerally, but they still voted for someone who, again, was pro-banning of firearms for civilians, pro-censorship, and pro-communist policies like price fixing. I mean, she was going to try that with grocery stores. She blamed grocery stores multiple times for high prices. which again, it blows my mind how many people don't realize this. I was actually talking to some folks when my interview podcast team loves sushi from Kroger, so I'll go there once in a while and get the team some sushi. And I was talking to some folks there, and we were talking about how the price, well, it went up significantly from statistic. It went up by 25%. I think it went up from like $5, $6 per unit. And I was talking to the folks at the grocery store, and I asked them, like, what do you think they make here profit-wise at Kroger? And actually, no, I hate Kroger's Tom Thumb. Kroger, well, nevertheless. But it's one of those things where they were guessing, 30, 40%. Nope. Grocery stores, on average, make 2% profit. It's that bad. That's why places like Target and Walmart have other things to offset those razor-thin margins for food. Groceries are exceedingly razor-thin profit margins. Groceries don't make a lot of money. And yet, Kamala and Biden would blame grocery stores for high prices. Nope, their profit margins stayed about the same. Some of the suppliers, they increased their profit margins a little bit. But yeah, grocery stores, that's not the vector to be focusing on. And again, it's not your business. You're not supposed to be price fixing. Nevertheless, you also have Paul Zuba saying, quote, Kamala has the mind of a toddler, getting 162 likes and insulting toddlers. Erican N says, drunk again, and it's a screenshot from Babylon B saying, quote, DNA test reveals that Kamala Harris actually is 98% vodka. Got 52 likes, which there's also a picture of Kamala with AI generated. It says, my bottle of choice, or my bottle, my choice. And she's Kamala drinking copious amounts of liquor, getting 114 likes. Time Magazine's been altered to say alcoholic of the year, getting 78 likes, and Kamala trying to drink a beer. Also, Kamala staying in front of a fire saying joy, getting 51 likes. Which, yeah, it's quite concerning how many people still voted for her in spite of all of that. Which, yeah, let's just say we should all be concerned about that. She also didn't have any policies. She just copied, she had like 5 policies she eventually talked about. But for mostly people, they're just supporting her blindly, which is also quite concerning. Say what you want about people who support Trump, but a lot of them actually critique him. One of the biggest controversies was Operation Warp Speed. There's a lot of people that support Trump that didn't agree with that. They criticized him for that. And yeah, there are a lot of people, when you look at leftists, they just all blindly follow their leader, which is quite concerning. So, Kamala Harris continues to go viral from time to time, and it'll be interesting to see, it'll be hilarious to see if all these big financial institutions pay her $250,000 to actually do the speaking fees like Hillary Clinton. Because, it's already pretty corrupt when Hillary Clinton was getting paid that much. In terms of, just being a kickback, because, your speech is not worth $250,000. But Kamala Harris, that would be so blatant. It would be too comical if someone like Goldman Sachs paid her $250,000 for a speech. Like, I'd love to hear that speech. It'd be hilariously inept. But nevertheless, let me know the thoughts in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. And going over to the business blunder of the day, you have some sad news. Mr. Christmas tree light, it's being recalled. So tis the season, except if you're using this device, because spoiler alert, it causes fire. Which, again, trees way back in the day for Christmas trees actually used to have little candles attached to the tree all over. But for safety, most of the trees nowadays in the United States are, they're illuminated with lights. Now, this comes to us thanks to the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, which they say, quote, Mr. Christmas recalls wireless decorative tree light controller due to fire hazard, which, it looks like a cute toy. It might kill you, but at least it looks kind of cute. Now, they know that this is a recall date, December 12th, 2024, and it affects about 44,000 units. And they say that the wireless receiver plugs into an outlet can overheat and, yes, cause fire. Which, yeah, that's not great. We can zoom in on here. It's actually called Mr. Christmas, which ironically would not make you a good Christmas indeed. Now, it looks like there's 2 designs. One's looks like a bastardized peppermint with a candy cane sticking out of it and just says Christmas light controller on off. Another looks like a little switch that's more stationary, a little bit more robust in terms of the footprint of the product. But if you look at the plug adapter to the wall, they both say Mr. Christmas on them. Now, going to the details, they say, quote, this recall involves a decorative tree light controller that operates wirelessly to turn holiday lights. How weak are you, American government? It's called Christmas tree lights. Our founding fathers will be rolling in their grave. Holiday lights? Boulder Dash. Oh no, that's blasphemous in and of itself, because that's not American. Bullshit. Clarify that. The decorative controller contains 2 parts. A lever or switch that can be pulled to turn the Christmas lights, I'm going to fix their quote, on or off. And a separate white receiver that plugs into an outlet and into the tree's Christmas lights are plugged. The controllers are sold at Walmart, and Cracker Barrel, interestingly enough, is shaped like a green, red, and white peppermint candy with a candy cane over the on-off lever. It displays the words Christmas tree controller because they know how to label a product. The controller sold at Target, sold under the Wondershop brand, and is shaped like a square on-off switch box with green, white, and red balls, and display the words tree lighting switch. The white wireless receptacle that is plugged into an outlet contains the words Mr. Christmas and one of these 3 model numbers printed on the white receptacle, which, get a good pen ready. It's labeled, the model numbers are specifically 39611. Again, the first one is 39611. The second is 39612. Again, 39612. The third one is 39630. Again, last one is 39630. They know that consumers should immediately stop using the product and return it to the place of purchase for a full refund. Now, looks like silver lining, no one's been hurt from this. So people could, in theory, still have a Merry Christmas. But unfortunately, there's one fire. So they say that the firm has received 10 reports of overheating. So again, overheating, and 1 incident of fire. And thankfully, no injuries have occurred thus far. Again, they know that these were sold at Walmart, Target, Cracker Barrel nationwide, as well as Walmart.com, Target.com, and CrackerBarrel.com. They're sold between July 2024 to November 2024 and cost between $25 and $40. And the recall number is 25067 against 25067. And again, silver lining, so no one's been hurt from this, so that's pretty good. But yeah, it's one of those things where I swear some of these companies just do zero quality control. Like, how much time would it really take to just plug this into the wall and check it for a little bit? And yet they have this issue with multiple. Again, it's going to cost them a pretty penny to recall. Was it 44,000 units? And in theory, if they actually take these back to, they actually ship and mail them, as opposed to like the brick and mortar store like Walmart, Target, just throwing them in the trash bin, then you have to deal with the shipping cost as well as refunding their costs. And now the customer is upset because if you don't get a replacement, in this case, you just have to buy another brand, which hurts you even more. So yeah, not too great. So I got to say, Mr. Christmas, this product recall is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, try to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you can click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.